is I Do Damage, and welcome back to the channel. In this indie ARPG video, I want to talk about an indie gem that I stumbled upon called Malice. This indie game is very early in its development stages. You can pick it up on Steam for a price tag of $9.99. I think it's been out for about a month now, and I've been just kind of waiting. I won't lie, I've been pretty cautious with picking up this game. I watched the Discord and watched it develop over the month, and finally decided to go ahead and support the developer and check out the game firsthand. What makes Malus really interesting is it's trying to mesh an ARPG genre with Dark Souls. And it does it in a way that feels pretty good, actually. I was a little bit skeptical, but that's why I wanted to make this video, just to talk a little bit about this indie gem and help you decide if it's something you want to support and check out as well or not. One thing you should know is the game only supports one save file in its current state. Hopefully that will be changed in the future. When you first start out the game, you're going to be able to select your gender. You'll notice that there's what looks like an archer and then what looks like maybe a warrior or something. It's actually just the gender, it's not really your class. Your class is actually then determined in-game. The first thing I want to talk about in Malice is the combat. The combat is what makes Malice different from other ARPGs in the genre. It is a more tactical style of combat, which can make the gameplay actually feel slower than your general hack and slash kind of clear 100 mobs type of game. And it really feels kind of nice. So let's just talk about it real quick. Here's what the layout is so you can see what all the buttons are in the game. You can notice here that you actually have a dodge backwards button and a dodge forward, which actually, when I first saw this, I thought was kind of strange, but it really synergizes nice with the target enemy function. So you don't have to kind of try to control your mouse. You can just quickly do it with those two hotkeys. The other part of combat I want to talk about with Malice is this drawing your weapon. So I'm going to go ahead and close out these keybinds here, but this is how it works. When you want to actually enter combat mode, you have to hit Q to unsheath your weapon. So now you move a little bit slower, you can do your dodges, you can do your front dodges, and attacks with your right click. You're going to take damage, obviously you're going to be fighting, but if you want to regen your health, there's no potions that I found in the game. If you want to regen health, you then have to put your weapon away. If you do happen to get hit with your weapon put away, you actually take triple damage. So with that in mind, there's going to be a lot of kiting throughout this game. But here's a little bit of combat. You can go ahead and check it out and see what you think. So this is actually one of the first combat encounters that you're going to come across with your character. So I have no gear or armor or defenses or anything. So that's why that I had to kite a lot during that fight. But that's pretty much combat. There's obviously you have ranged enemies and stuff you'll see in the gameplay. A lot of different things in the game that, I don't know, I like it. I like the feeling of planning ahead and having that Dark Souls feel in an ARPG. I didn't know if I would at first, but it feels pretty good in practice. The next thing I want to talk about in Malice, and this really is very familiar if you've ever played an ARPG before, but I wanted to cover it in the video just so you know what's all in the game and to help you make up your mind if you want to buy the game or not. So this is your character stats, your stat sheet, attributes, all that juicy stuff. And then over here you have your skills. There's currently only 6 skills in the game, and we'll talk about skills next. First, I just want to talk about the attributes. They're very, very basic so far. He actually, the day of recording this video, dropped a new update to stats. They were actually a lot less in depth than they are now. So you have your basic strength, wisdom, agility, constitution, and concentration. They do a little bit of different things. I'm not going to get super into it. I'm just giving you a general overview. But this new patch added in resistances here, and then you have a pierce, blunt, and slash type of damage. So it's pretty interesting. I haven't dove a bunch into the patch, but yeah, this is it. Once you level up, you're going to get 2 points to then put into your attributes. I've been doing a strength-based kind of warrior type character, so I'm thinking constitution and strength is probably where I'm going to go with that. So that's just kind of a general overview there for attributes and stat points. Let's move on to skills. These can be pretty interesting. So you have 3 archetypes that you would expect with any ARPG. You have your warrior, mage, and archer. So the skills are actually only usable with certain items that you have equipped. So Shield Bash, obviously, requires a shield. And then in order to do Ground Slam, you have to have a melee weapon. And then in order to cast mage skills, you obviously have to have a staff. So there's 2 for each archetype. And then when you get to Ranger, the Haste, which is actually, it's a mobility type of skill, and it's not super great. I still like to use it for a little bit of boost, but it's not super, but it doesn't last very long. It's very short. And then you also have a Charge Shot, which requires a bow. So that's basically it for your skills, is those 6 skills. You can level them up. Each time you gain a character level, you get 1 skill point to then align. I think the max rank is like 4 for each skill is what I found. Pretty much it when it comes to stats and skills. The next thing I want to talk about in Malice is the world. The world as it is right now is a small slice of what's to come. It is an open world, and there's high exploration, in my opinion, for what's there. It's pretty small. I could probably do a world tour in, 15-20 minutes if I just wanted to run through and show you the whole world. I won't do that because I think it's really fun for you to discover it for yourself. But the world itself is very dark, grim, and it feels like a Dark Souls game. I mean, you even have a bonfire that you rest at. And that brings me to another point with Malice. Your game does not save automatically. It only saves when you actually rest at a bonfire. So let's say I go ahead, my game is now saved. Let's say I go kill mobs, I level up to level 3, and I find some sweet new weapons. If I happen to die, I lose all that progress. Levels gained, items, attributes, everything is back to where you were before the first save. So it's kind of a roguelite in that way, but it adds for an interesting kind of mechanic to where you have to decide, like, okay, should I push on to this next room, this next boss, or should I go back and save and maybe farm up a few levels? I actually quite like it. I kind of got a little bit off topic there. I wanted to really just kind of talk about the world a little bit more. So the world is set up by mobs that have different level ranges. So when you first start out, you're going to find these low monsters, like you would expect really in any RPG. But there's just something magical about it, and it's really hard for me to describe. But my first playthrough, I ran into a cave that was like 5 levels higher than me. And so I was like, well, I'll come back to this later. And I moved on to a different part of the map and explored. I mean, there's even a huge castle in the game right now to explore. There's a lot of cool ideas, and I just can't wait for them to be expanded upon. I do want to do a full disclosure here. There's not a ton of content in the game right now. I think you could do a whole playthrough in an hour. But with that in mind, there are frequent updates, new things to check out, and the feel of the game is great. So now that you know about the combat and the world and the feel of everything, let's talk about items. The game actually just got an update giving items these prefixes and attributes to them, which is really nice. Before, the items were static and it felt okay, but I was really excited for the ARPG nerd in me to see those stats on items. So I'll just show you around. These are really basic starter items. I don't have anything super crazy since I made a brand new character for this video. But you can see on this bow, I have 21 pierce. The blue is the affixes. And then, you can read, obviously, this one has Divine, and then 3% chance to stop enemies' life regen for 8 seconds. I haven't done, like I said, I haven't dug a whole bunch into it, but your armor, they're going to have your resistances for Pierce, Blunt, Slash, and then all your elements that we have on the attributes screen. So I haven't dug super into it, but I just really wanted to do this video just to let you know kind of about this little hidden gem. And hopefully you can decide for yourself if you think it's worth $10. I would say if you're looking for a game to dump 100 hours into and really an in-depth game, I would wait on this one. But if you want to back an indie developer and support a really interesting take on the genre, I definitely think it's worth checking out. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. I love talking about these indie gems and ARPGs in general. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.